So Beverly, I kind of give you a little briefing here, and thank you everyone that joined in as just a webinar participant. So Angelo here has been in real estate for several years now, and his business has primarily been reliant on referrals and past clients. That has now changed. He's now jumped into, or as I think you might say, kind of being forced to kind of look at different avenues to keep your business going. And of course, he jumped on the lead gen wagon. So this is all brand new territory for Angelo, because obviously the way we speak with people that we've been referred to or past clients is much different than those that are coming into a website and we're complete strangers. And understanding that process and how to just generally communicate with them, or following up and what this entire process looks like from start to finish, so that he essentially feels confident in what he's doing and can ultimately grow his business or continue to grow it as something, a beneficiary, and in addition to those referrals and past clients that will continue to come, but just aren't as fruitious as they have been in the past. Now he does have a couple of individuals on here. These are he has I think it's your son, did you say, Angelo?
Yeah, Danny's
on here. So he works with Angela directly, and he also has his daughter on here because he came with the thought process and an idea that maybe she might be able to help in the essence of kind of almost the ISA work. So reaching out and helping reach out to these individuals. She's not working specifically with Angelo, but has obviously grown up, being surrounded with the industry itself.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, I'm Lisa.
Hello. Great to meet you.
Lisa's already worked us a bit more Beverly, so we have a little bit of intro. This is my 37th year, but I like to believe it's my early part of my career, but this is 37 years in the making. As a former banker, licensed in 84, full-time since 1994. Crystal, thanks for the intro. We've done very well. I guess so well that now I got two of my three, Danny and Jennifer, both part of our team, licensed agents. Lisa has worked with me in the administrative role. The more we get into this lead gen and so forth, I mean, obviously we do a lot of also pre-construction work as well, pre-con, homes and condos, land development, which we're working a big project right now. So lead gen was really something more that we could enhance our business. I mean, rather than have clients walk into our office, now we're in a new world where we're literally searching now for different opportunities, nurturing potential clients to be our clients in the future. And so therefore, Danny and Jennifer obviously will, help out with that. And then Lisa will be directly my, I guess, as Crystal said, my inside sales associate with regards to making the calls and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. You should have been sent a code. If it hasn't timed out, could you give me the 4 digits of the code?
7022.
Okay. I am where I need to be. So as I asked all of our willing participants that join us live, what is the main goal that you would like to leave today saying that this hour was worth your time?
Today, more of an insight. I'm just going to talk out loud here. More of an insight as far as we have talked to Jason. I guess you know Jason.
Yeah.
Right. Jason.
Yeah.
So Jason has. We did. I think three sessions with them, trying to filter through and understand the system that they were working from, and then from that is really a question of going forward as far as what do we do now? Of course, we all know how to make calls. The question, what do you say to these people so that they kind of engage? I am one of those pick up the phone type of call guys. So if people calling them blindly or sign up to our program, wanting more information, a lot of them will not work out. Sort of sneaking. There's a lot of agents out there. So it's the question, how do we connect with these people so that, they're able to work with us, or will be working with us? I mean, there's a lot of agents out there, 65,000, if not more, in Toronto Real Estate Board. So there's a lot of competition out there. How do we engage with these people so that, they trust us and want to work with us?
Mhm. For sure. So how long ago did you get this platform?
We started, I believe, 90 days ago, Dane.
Okay.
Yeah, give or take. Just at the beginning of the year.
And you're doing Google specific, it looks like?
So far, yes. Again, unless somebody can tell me otherwise, speak to Jason. I think that that was a route that we've chosen. We decided to go into 3 territories within the Durham region.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all we're doing right now is Google. Other than what else we're doing on our own Instagram, Facebook, and so forth.
Okay. So what I just want to look at right quick is 3 sections of the leads and kind of see where we are right now. Okay, so you have 34 leads and 23 of them are in a new lead or tried to contact stage. So let me share my screen.
Yeah. So Beverly, the one thing that I found frustrating, I guess, is maybe trying to learn this new system here, and I'm going to be very transparent with this thing, is just the question that the last week and a half, knowing that I was going to be on call with you, we have not done anything over and above. Again, we're just trying to learn a new system and so forth. So certainly it's the question I didn't. I am the type of guy that picked up the phone. Some of these have been called, but not documented, but that's my own fault for not trying to understand the system again. It's just a lot of these people now, once they find out that we're, agents and so forth, what they want to do is they want to back out and get out, which is fine. I mean, obviously, we can't work with everybody and they may not want to, but it's the sign in part of the sign into something that they don't know what to sign into. And then as soon as they find out that they start getting some SMSs or some emails, then they say to take me off your list.
Hang on 1 second.
Yep.
I had to lock my dog in the room.
Yeah, mine at the front door.
She was annoyingly squeaking her toy at me, and I'm like, you've got to go away. And then I had the deck door open, so I had to do the deck door so she couldn't get around. Okay. So, question for you on that note. This section right here. So, what I ran was your pipeline, which your pipeline stage are these right here. This is your pipeline stages. So, what I did when I go into dashboards, not set, new lead, and tried to contact, that tells me that these leads have not yet been spoken to.
Right.
So are we safe to say these 23 leads have not yet had conversations? We don't know where they are in the process. Is that
the last 2 weeks have not.
okay?
Okay, so the others have, and I said just because I didn't really understand the system, we went online, I think, with Jason, and I was trying to navigate through this thing. So like I said, I'm being, again, transparent. The last 2 weeks, I knew it was going to come out with you. I didn't do nothing of that. If I'm making these calls, they're not responding back to me and whatever, or they're saying, I do call them, I've even messaged for them to call me. I'm gonna play stupid. I really don't know what I'm doing. That's probably the best way I can. And I'm being honest, so I get very transparent.
So one of the biggest, I want to say, misnomers on what you're saying, just to expand on it, technology does make our lives easier in regards to communicating with people that know who we are. But when people don't know who's calling them, technology's worked against us because it's so easy to block phone numbers. And when you're using a third-party dialer, more chances than not, it's showing up on that person's phone as telemarketer, spam, possible spam, unknown. So a lot of people just aren't going to answer it because they know it's going to be a sales call, because if you don't know who it is on your phone anymore, it's pretty much a sales call. And people are very sensitive to that. So it is making our communications a lot more difficult to get a hold of leads. When it comes to leaving voicemails, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. It's testing what's going to work for you with the leads that you are bringing in. My philosophy and how I worked it, especially with today's technology, we all like to have control. And if my phone rings right now, I'm hitting the button to turn it off. It's on vibrate right now, so I'm not going to hear it. But if you're in the middle of something, it's so easy to pick up your phone and hit the button and silence the call and just send it to voicemail, which is what most people do. But if you can ring it and you hang up before they have the opportunity of sending it to voicemail, then they're curious. It's a very weird thing mentally, but even if you think about it, when your phone rings, if you go to silence it, but it quits, you're like, who the heck was that? Right? But if you send it to voicemail, you don't think twice about it. Which that's where I kind of came up with my 4 rings, 4 rings equals 23 seconds to the dialer. So if you let the dialer go 23 seconds, hang up and go to the next, 23 seconds, hang up and go to the next, it's going to create more callbacks. And the other piece to that is if it rings the whole way through and goes to a voicemail, it takes up so much time. And if they do answer the phone at that point, if it rings and rings and rings and it's like 1 minute and 20 seconds, which it could be, if they do pick it up, it's probably not the best time to have a conversation. Because they're quick trying to get off of the conversation that they're having on the phone to switch it over, or that's when they got the baby in their arms and the groceries in the other arms, right? And because everybody, let's just face it, how many times does your phone actually ring before you answer it? Because I don't know of anybody that doesn't have their phone in their hand, ever. Like our phones are always in our hands. So if phones are ringing 5, 6, 7 times, it's not like back when we had the phones that we had to run to through the house to get to the wall to answer the phone on the wall, right? So it's a completely different mindset of voicemails. So if we're leaving a voicemail, it takes a lot of time. If we do leave a voicemail, you want it to be very vague because you don't want them to know who you are, because they're just going to say, well, I'm going to block you because I'm not ready to be in the process yet. And then you'll never get a hold of them. So it would be a matter of, hey, this is Angelo, just wanted to connect with you and give me a call back. And identify them by name if you know their name. So a lot of times in the very first call, I do like to let it go to voicemail to identify if there is a name that they have on their voicemail. Then I can verify it is a good number. Because a lot of times these people put in their spouse's phone numbers or kids' phone numbers or whatever. So you can call this Mayante and it may be Bob. But you can make a note in there that it's Bob's number. So when you call that number again and Bob answered the phone, it's like, hey, Bob. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, that's exactly what we're finding. I mean, the more information you try giving in the very beginning, the more they're going to shut you off anyways. And just like you just said, while we're talking to you, I got another number here and it's likely spam. So that's a very, very, very good point that you brought up. I like it. 23 seconds before it rings, and if not, hang up. They're gonna, and you always call back on somebody that's not left a message, because now you wonder who that person is. I love it.
Exactly. And it shows you right here. And don't worry if you don't hear the phone ringing, because just because you don't hear it on your end does not mean they don't hear it on their end. This 23 seconds, they may only get 1.5 rings or 2 rings, or they may get the full 4 rings. But
Right.
we know we've let the process go through. So the next important thing, I gotta move my windows here. This particular lead, still move my windows. Okay. This particular lead, Mayante, I don't even know if I'm saying the name right, so I probably won't even identify with their name. It's just going to be, hey, this is Beverly. I saw that you were online looking at some homes in Pickering. Because I want to quickly identify with, now I got to move more screens around. Oh my goodness. So I want to quickly identify and eliminate any objection as to who I am and why I'm making the phone call, if that makes sense.
Okay, so question, Beverly, how
Mhm.
soon, once we get our leads, obviously they're coming to me, how soon should they be called? Are we looking at a specific time frame within like a 4-hour window, 6 hours, 12 hours? Because if they're online now, certainly I would love to make sure that I call them now that they are
Right.
online.
Yep. But you don't want to creep them out, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yes. So again, there's no right way or wrong way. It's what way is going to work best for you. My philosophy, and this is just my philosophy, this industry has completely overcompensated, in my opinion, speed to lead with Google and Facebook leads, because Google and Facebook leads, in my opinion, are just doing research. They're not on here to say, hey, I want to buy a house today. They're just online because they're curious. So one of two things. If we call them as soon as they register, yes, are we going to have a different opportunity of them answering a spam call? I don't think so, because our phones, in a day, I probably get 3 phone calls that are telemarketers that are spam, as does the average person. So honestly, in my mind, and this is just me, they're not really putting 2 and 2 together that I just registered and now my phone's ringing. Why I like to very quickly identify with, hey, I saw you were looking at homes in Pickering. So try it, test it, what's comfortable for you. Now, would I wait? If this lead registered an hour ago, I would not wait until tomorrow. If they register 5, 6, 7 o'clock, as long as you call them the next day, in my opinion. And where the difference is, Angelo, is everyone has trained speed to lead, but they forgot the consistency piece. Because yeah, everyone's speed to lead, they'll call them as soon as they come in, but then that's it. They're calling all the leads that are coming in and they're not being consistent with trying to attempt multiple times. And that's where the game changes, because it's in the consistency of that follow through. If your phone rings with the same number 5, 6, 7, 8 times in a couple week period, at one point you're going to pick up and go, who is this? Because of the consistency and the persistence.
Right.
So I say within a 24-hour time frame.
And I think
That's
this
my
is where,
philosophy.
thank you. That's actually a very good point. So this is why I thought that with Lisa, and again, a great personality. I mean, she's good on the phone. I think that it's something that she can follow up. I mean, I got a very busy day. I mean, I don't stop. I mean, I'm up early and I'm up late, and I just can't, in the middle of a call or in the middle of an appointment or in the middle of a builder's meeting, I just can't drop everything just to make this call. So I think it's just a question that having somebody that can make that initial call, and yes, I don't want to creep people out. I don't know. I think to answer it away, that means you're creeping on people. So I think that you have to give it a bit of time. But the line that, hey, I saw you're looking at homes in Pickering. Yeah, that's a great, it's a great icebreaker, because you're not identifying yourself as a, hey, I'm a realtor, I saw your home right away.
Yes.
Right?
Because they don't care. They
They don't
don't care what company you're with. They don't care what website you're with. All they care about is who the hell is calling me that I don't know. And the quicker you can identify that, they're not listening to what you're saying anyway. But if you call and say, hey, I saw you were looking at homes in Pickering, they hear that.
Okay.
So I like to schedule my time and I like to control my days and control my time. So when I see 20 some leads, I'm like, okay, I can schedule that. And the most important thing in that consistency piece is we're probably going to call through at least 15 leads here. Don't call them back at the same time tomorrow. Call those 15 leads back tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, because people have habits. So if you sit down and call all 20 some of your leads at between 9 and 10 in the morning, the next day, call them between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, or call them between 6 and 7 in the evening. And then 2 days from there, call them back at a different time frame. You always wanted that consistency should always be different time frames, because you're going to improve your chances of actually getting a hold of them when they're in a position to answer the phone. Because just because it might be good for us to sit down from 8 to 9 in the morning and call our leads every day, if they're getting ready for work and getting their kids ready for school, and that's their habit 5 days a week, you're never going to get a hold of them.
Right.
Right. So
Sometimes when you have-
that's
how many-
important.
I agree with
How
that.
many
That's
times-
a good point.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Or I said that's a perfect point, because that's the time I'm getting all my kids out and I don't even have my
Don't even
phone
look
near.
at your phone. That's the time the phone isn't in your hand, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's the last thing I want to do. And if anybody does call me, my first thing is I'm literally in the middle of 1,000 things. I can't even wrap my brain around this conversation. So can you call me back later in an hour? And most of the times at that point, sometimes if I now know I'm not interested and I know that it's calling me, I won't even answer it. I don't want to sound like a jerk, but that's like, if it's like something stupid, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's inconvenient. And then even to drive that point home in another way, even if it's somebody you know and you don't answer it, you're like, oh heck, because I literally just had a call. One of my managers just called.
Yeah.
And more than likely, if I don't pick up my phone and check it when I'm done with this call, mentally, I know she's called. So you already start having this conversation because you probably know why they're calling. And then
Yeah.
you forget to call back until it's like 3 hours later. And like, and those are important people to you. So
Yeah.
when you're communicating from another angle, it's so weird how our brains are like, well, gosh, I'm calling them. They should be answering the phone. But we don't look at our own habits.
Right.
So we're just going to whip through a few here and hopefully we get a hold of somebody. And you can hear my introduction. So you can hear that's 2 rings that I'm hearing on my side. Hello, this is Beverly. Just doing a quick check-in. I see that you were online looking at some condos in the Ajax Pickering area.
Yes,
Just wondering kind of where you are in the process and if you're thinking about making a purchase or kind of what you're looking for.
I'm looking for rental.
You're looking for a rental.
Yeah.
And how soon do you need to be in something?
Sorry,
How soon do you need to be in something?
I didn't understand what you mean.
How soon do you need to sign a lease agreement to get into a home or a condo?
We need 1 room or 2 rooms, doesn't matter.
So bit time frame as far as May, June,
Okay,
July.
time frame, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can visit, or I can see if you guys have available on May 5th, 4th. I'm available 6, 7.
Okay, so you need something pretty immediate.
Yes,
And what is your situation right now? Where are you living? Are you staying with family? Are you in a rental short term?
no, now I'm living with my mother-in-law, and I'm working with a company with my brother. He owns company. He's doing that appliance repair technician.
Okay.
So I'm working with him. So yeah,
And how much as far as a monthly rental payment are you comfortable with?
well, I can pay up to 2,000 with gas, everything included for a home.
Okay. What I'm gonna do, I'm not the agent. I'm gonna let our agents know, and if they have anything, so you're just looking in the Ajax and Pickering area specifically?
Yes,
Okay,
Ajax, Pickering, Oshawa, Whitby.
I will see if they have anything and I'll have them reach out to you, okay?
Okay,
You have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
you too, thank you.
Bye-bye. I didn't
Beverly,
figure
you're
you
hired.
probably were interested in that, but I just wanted to keep asking the question so you could hear how I questioned.
This is really good. I'll tell you, like what you made it so simple, and you're hired. First call and then connection. We do have a lease department as well. So Danny and Jennifer, we've opened up, we do have a lot of condos, and actually Jennifer and Danny both post on Facebook Marketplace for condos as well, lease condos. So because we are Platinum Realtors, what we've done right now is we've also opened up that division so that they actually put ads in Facebook Marketplace, and the leads are crazy.
Of course,
Yes.
Amazing. Now, Danny can fill you in more on that.
of course. Well, and that was such a great phone call, and that's where I should always clarify, do you want to rent a lead? But as you could tell, it was the questions, right? I want to know, what is your current situation and how soon do you need to be in something? And that's what matters. I really didn't care how many bedrooms or anything else other than how soon do you need to be in something? What is your current situation and how much are you willing to pay? Or what are you comfortable with? Because I don't know your rental market, but if he's like, well, I can pay $800 a month, you're like, oh, dude, you're gonna be stuck with a room, right? Those give you the quality answers that if it's a worthwhile lead to actually work with.
Yeah. So now my other question I have for you, then again, the one question we seem to be, and Danny, again, if you want to just jump in on this call very quickly on this.
I'm here.
They may already be working with another agent. So obviously now agency contract comes into play. At what point do you ask that question?
So that's my favorite question. I'm gonna see if you actually have this tag. Hang on. Renting.
There's renting, lease, a long-term lease or month to month, I think.
Yeah, so we don't have like the situation that looking for a rental.
No, not as far as,
I'm just
looking
gonna
for
put this one on here just so we don't lose him.
Okay.
As I put the
We'll
rental
follow
tag
up right away. Danny, you can follow up this gentleman today.
And I did put the note in there, so he is in there and he's gonna be moved to contacted. So Angelo, to answer your question, how many agents in your market have their clients sign a buyer agency agreement before they actually write a contract on a home?
Do you want me to be honest or do you want me to lie to you?
Be honest. Very small percentage, isn't it?
You already knew the answer. You were just testing me, weren't you?
Correct. As I said, I know the answer. I just wanted to confirm. So that's why I never asked the question, right? So I like to ask, I wouldn't have done it so much on a rental, right? But on a purchase, if he was looking at a condo and he's like, I need to put a contract on something within the next couple of weeks, great. My question would have been, how long have you been looking? Have you been in any homes? How did you get in those homes, if yes?
Okay.
Because they could be going to open houses. They could just be doing drive-bys. They could just be looking online. Because I've had people say, oh, I've been looking for 6 months. Great. Well, have you been in any homes? No.
Okay.
Right. So that's the roundabout way to trick somebody into not lying to say they have an agent, because every buyer knows if I tell you if I have an agent, you're going to let me off the phone.
Well, that's the very true. That is an honest answer, because that is the absolute truth. And as soon as you say, do you have an agent? The question is, everybody's got an agent. I don't care whether it's their brother, their sister, their uncle, somebody's got into business, feel bad for this guy. So it's just a question. What you don't want to do is obviously waste a lot of time in taking these people. But the way that you're asking these questions, I mean, they have to answer at some point. And you're asking a question for them to give you an answer, and you already know right away.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's just these
And
guys
that's
here.
where I like to kind of backdoor, because if I say, do you have an agent? Are you working with an agent? Are you committed to an agent? It's too easy to say yes or no. And
Oh,
then
it's
where
always
do you
gonna be
go from
yes.
there?
But you see,
And-
what we also have in our marketplace, and again, Crystal, you'll hopefully agree with me on this. There's a lot of agents right now with the new technology, with the new, when we're not meeting clients. We never took clients up before unless we met them in our office. That's
Mhm.
changed right now. We got
Yeah.
agents from, Pickering to Oakville and Brampton and whatever. So we're all over the map.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and that's why you want to ask those quality questions. And if you heard, I asked him, so what exactly are you looking for and where are you in the process?
Yeah.
Because I want to know, are you just looking? Are you just a licky loo? What has to happen for you to be able to purchase a home? And when you ask where you are, like, where are you in the process? Some people may just say, I'm just looking, because they don't know what to say, because it's not a normal question that they get when they're having conversations with agents that are calling them. So knowing where they are right now, where are you living? Do you own a home or are you renting? And what does that, do you have to sell your home? Are you in a lease term or are you month to month? Like that's gonna drive the quality of the conversation to know how far you want to take that conversation. If they say, oh, I'm renting and I'm in a lease term until next year. Well, then the next question is, are you able to get out of the current lease that you're in to make a purchase sooner than next year?
Correct.
No, well, okay, what can I do in the meantime? Because we know that they're not going to wait a year to look for a home. That's going to be like a 7-month process. So in about 7 months, we're going to have to start talking financing. We're going to have to start talking game plan. Right? And even if someone owns a home, then we know, do you have to sell? Are you planning on selling? Are you going to keep the home as an investment? And that opens up the door to multiple opportunities,
Now,
right?
Beverly, during this the whole call here, now with Lisa making the calls, bringing her into to make the calls and so forth. And then, as you just said, I'll pass her over to one of our agents. She can still make those calls. She's not a licensed agent, but as long as she doesn't talk about specific properties and pricing, she's able to make those calls.
That is correct.
Right?
And so here's the thing about it, it's called third-party endorsement. She can talk you up and say that this is Angelo's specialty. And what I'm going to do, she can set that expectation just like I did.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my agent look and see what they have in their inventory, and they will be giving you a call. And I would take that further to be able to ask what their favorite form of communication is. How would you like us to reach out to you? Do you want him to send a text to introduce himself? Do you want me to have him tell you what time is the best time to call?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
Then that way, because this is what happens with every ISA. I called him, he didn't answer the phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're kind of getting to the point right away. Like, if they're like, oh, I'd rather be introduced and know it's him calling. Like if he were to introduce himself, hi, I'm Angelo Pucci. You spoke to Lisa. I'm going to be calling you. Should he give like a preference? Like, when's the best time to call you? Or is that already discussed through me?
Yeah, I would discuss that through you. I would ask them, what is the best time for me to have so-and-so reach out to you? Great, 6 o'clock this evening, perfect. If perhaps that time would not work, could I have him just reach out to a text and you guys can schedule a good time for a phone call? This is the number he will be calling from. Can you do me a favor and save it? I will text it to you right now.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Beverly,
Then that way you're setting up an expectation, and it's very corporate, right? It's very professional that I'm going to text you his phone number. Can you please save it so that you know it's him when he's going to be calling or he texts you?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I like
And
that.
people do save it.
yes.
And
Beverly?
that kind of avoids, is everybody going to save it?
I don't know,
your
yeah, but it's
chances-
like more chances of them doing it once you kind of communicate it right away. Like I would have a better response if they sent me the number right away, and then this way I would see it. So because the iPhone, sometimes it depends on if you're an iPhone user, it will show up sometimes like maybe and then say their name.
Yes.
But not everybody has an iPhone as well too, right?
Correct. And you can text right through the system. You can just go right to SMS and say, hey, Ali, this is Angelo's number. Go ahead and save it. Great talking to you. We look forward to working with you. Boom.
Yeah.
And you can even save that as a template and just copy it.
Yes. You've taken me back about 35 years, just not one call right now, because when we first started in real estate, we used to have dialers, and I think you're American, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I've worked with the Hobbs Herder agency as an advertising agency
Yep.
for a lot of our stuff. And we were at NAR one year, and you guys are big into dialers, like huge dialers. Like that's all
We
people do, dial all day long, dial for dollars, like as I call them. And so in Canada, we had to be a licensed agent, and we had to find a way as to how to get around that. And you just got around that, and you brought them back because it's 35 years and you're back with me.
Well, and even on that point, if you are having difficulty reaching people through the dialer, I strongly suggest, and this has only been since 2022, because we do have much more difficulty reaching people through dialers, is call with your phone. Now, do I like to do that all the time? Hell to the no, because I typo all the time, and I have to like dial the number, and then while it's ringing, I'm like confirming the number that I'm calling to make sure I'm not calling a wrong number. So it does take me a lot longer. But if you're doing it just once in a while with every number, and this is why I like to control my time and my day and my calendar to what is my goal today? All right, my goal today is I have extra time to call my leads. So I'm going to schedule from 11 to 12. I'm going to sit down and manually dial as many as I can get through. And I would suggest those being your higher quality leads, which are your most recent subscribed and you're active. So your leads are actively engaged that have been in the system, because right now you have 34 leads that are in the system. And what's going to happen, they're all active because they've all kind of registered in the last month or two. So what's going to happen is leads are going to start, how do I want to say, diminishing themselves out of their own priority. Because in my opinion, if you are a very serious buyer, you're going to stay engaged with the emails that are being sent to you with the homes that are coming on the market. Those are your higher priority leads. So when you're searching your leads in your dashboard, it's okay. I want to call today the leads that I've never spoke to. So those are your tried to contact, and you want to sort it by the most recent login that has a valid or unknown phone number. And then it's worth dialing those leads one by one with your manual phone to attempt to get a hold of them. Because there's no race to try to get a hold of these leads. The main priority is not the appointment. The main priority is find out where they are in the process. The more conversations we have, the more we're positioning ourselves to get lucky, because we're the ones that know what has to happen for them to make a move. These leads, because they're Google, are sitting in about 3 or 4 other agents' dashboards. But in my opinion, the one that has the conversation is the one that sets themselves apart, because they know what has to happen. So then it becomes our responsibility to ensure when that time is ready, they remember and know us. Because in today's day and age, people do business out of convenience, not loyalty. Loyalty is out the window. They want the convenience. And that's where, when we have the conversation and we're starting to build that pipeline, asking the lead, what can I do to ensure that you're going to remember me when that time is proper for you to move forward? What can I do in the meantime? How often would you like me to check in? How would you like me to check in? What information is important to you that I can be giving you through the information gathering process?
So now, having said that, you stay in contact. How do you automatically put them on auto receive based on what they're looking for? You send them other letters, or like more like a drip campaign?
So
Um,
it all depends on the conversation. So I have two buckets. And you saw that I had put that tag on that one rental lead, right? So in your tags, BL is buyer lost. C is communication. FO is future opportunity. LL is lender lost. So what we're doing, depending on the conversation in the two buckets, you either qualify for time to go on my calendar as a reminder to call you back. Because I know if I do everything I should be doing, my chances are 70% or more that I'm going to be closing a deal with you. But if we talk to somebody, let's just say buyer lost low price range. We have a conversation with somebody that is in a price range that is not even conducive to our market, and there ain't no way they're ever going to be able to buy a house. I don't want to set a reminder to call them back for what?
right.
So I want to be able, as I always say, put you in an aisle of the grocery store and put you on the shelf, because I don't want to lose you. So that way, if we're identifying what has to happen for them to buy a home, we're grouping them like, we have an agent. This one's just looking and they're 2 or more years out. This one's just looking. They have no time frame. They're just looking. They have no idea what they want, when they want, where they want. They're just looking. This one's just looking 1 or more years out. They have a kid in university. They're waiting for them to graduate next year. This one, they're moving because of a new job. This one's on hold because somebody died or somebody got sick or they lost a job. We can identify every conversation and we can search our leads through tags. And then our conversation can be very on point because we are identifying, and this is what really makes you ask the great questions, because there's nothing worse than getting off the phone and then going, oh my God, I don't know what to do with them. I don't know where to put them. So this way, this makes you ask those questions so you know what to do with them.
I'm
Because
so glad.
here's the thing, if you put a reminder on every single lead, I promise you, you will never work them again. Because then you have so many reminders that you can't identify what is the priority of that reminder. And that's really the big reason why I created the systems like this, because we as agents set reminders for everything because we don't want to forget anything. But then we get lost in the sauce and completely overwhelmed. And then we're like, oh my God, I got 55 reminders. And I don't want to have to look at every single note. I just want to be able to hit go. Like you saw me, like I popped 22 in the filter and I can just click and go. All I need to know is all these looking at Ajax. That's all I needed to know. I know there has not been a conversation. I know. But when you set a reminder, you've got to go back and look at notes to identify the last conversation. So it does take a little bit longer.
Yeah, the point that you got about the reminders, the tags and so forth. So I got brought in one of with one of your staff members. And I learned more about that today as far as tags. There's a lot of tags there, but the more tags you put on there, the more confused you're going to get anyways.
Yes, and that's why I broke them up into, let's say, communication. If they say text is my best form of communication, you can put the text tag on them and know, I got to text these people. And then you're not mad because they're not returning a phone call.
I gotcha.
Right? So tags I use to identify what the situation is and how to communicate with them. Because you do have some people, hey, I'm at work, can you call me back later? Well, in communication, that's my night call or a weekend call, right? So I'm going to tag them night call. And then when I sit down in the evening, I can pull everybody that's in my night call tag. And I know that these people, it's better for me to try to reach them at night or on the weekends. And I've got them all in a group. I don't have to remember, oh, there was Bob and oh, this one lead that told me to call him back tonight. And then I would spend more time looking for the damn lead than then I'm just like, "Pfft, I just give up on it. So the organization piece is what's really important after. But here's the thing, if we don't ever get a hold of Ali and I call him today, there's nothing to do. There's no tag to put on him. There's no nothing to, I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is Ali is looking in Ajax. That's it. So there's nothing to do with them because they're falling into that call filter that I know I just need to find out where they are in the process. I just want to have a conversation. And we can identify them by the pipeline.
Can we, are we able to make one more call? Do we have time for one more call to try and
Absolutely. We got time for a few more calls.
run? I want to hear you, because the
You
more
have
I can,
reached the voicemail box of Ali.
That's a good phone number. So I'll put good phone number, name on voicemail. So we know we have a good phone number and it's a valid number.
Lisa? Are you there, Lisa?
Yeah, sorry. I'm here.
So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna have other calls that, and this is our dashboard. I know we're gonna throw you into the loop here. We're gonna bring you some training for the dashboard as well, so you understand our dashboard, because that's this.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be actually, I was just thinking that actually.
Oh, no, I thought, I read your mind.
Yeah, you did. You're so simpatico.
I haven't heard that word. That's one of my favorite words.
Yeah, it's
That word
from Justin Timberlake in that movie with
There
Cameron
you
Diaz.
go.
And we're so simpatico, and she's like, It's been stuck in my head ever since.
You can see how quickly you can get through dials. I mean, it's just. And the one I did mark it as an invalid because it's probably an out of the country because it was a 09.
Yeah.
It
And
could
then
be,
that one, you can put them on a bad phone number campaign.
yeah, sometimes those bad, the 09, sometimes the numbers come in as 0905. For whatever reason, I have no idea why. There's the periodic number, that phone number that has a 0 in front of it, but it's a local number.
Oh, so you just have to take the 0 out.
Sometimes it works, not always.
Now I'm just whipping through these. What you could do the next time you dial through is let it go to a voicemail and
Yeah.
identify if it, and I will tell you this, if it just keeps ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and won't end, dial it with your phone because it's probably a bad phone number. For some reason, third-party dialers don't detect the doo-doo-doo. And you can be dialing bad phone numbers. And I had such a system because it was every time I dial, it's 23 seconds, and then I have the connect time to the next one. 30% of your leads will more than likely be bad phone numbers. So if I'm calling 10, if I'm making 10 dials and 3 of them are bad, that's a minute of wasted time for me because 23 seconds for each lead that I'm never going to get a hold of. So it is good to identify it as a bad number the first time that you make that call.
So Lisa, we have a dialer, okay? So what you see, that this is our dialer. So that's the other service.
Yeah. So would
So
it come
yes.
up number or would it come up like unknown?
On their end, it all depends on their carrier and how it shows on their phone. It may come up as unknown, it may come up as spam, it may come up as telemarketer, it may come up blank.
Usually in Canada anyway, usually it's just coming as to either the location, so Toronto, and then the phone number, or just the phone number. Yeah, so it doesn't, and then again, you know, it's our lovely phones as well that do it, where it's like iPhone or what have you. It's like, oh, you got a text message from this number. Should we mark it as spam? You've never received a text from them before.
Yeah.
You know, so that doesn't help with any of this, right? It makes it a lot more difficult because more people mark them as spam.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
So that one, did you see how it just disconnected? It went do and then it just hung up?
Yeah.
It's probably a bad phone number. I just put on here the disconnected dialer. Then that way, the next time you call it,
Yep.
make it a manual call and just confirm it.
Yeah.
And then you can always just mark it in here as
And
wrong
you'll be able
number.
to see the number we have blurred out. So you might see that it's obviously an invalid number.
Yep.
So.
Now, these are set based on answers to questions whenever they register?
That's correct. So there's a little questionnaire that pops up and it asks some questions about, you know, if they're a first time buyer, if they've been pre-approved, if they own a home, time frame, those answers they get, Angela is likely getting an email every time they answer those questions. It's also in the notes and call section as well, along with any tags that may be
Am I
applied.
supposed to get emails on that? So all I get is the fact that they've signed on. Am I supposed to get anything over and above that? Because
If they submit the questionnaire, yeah, you should get an email.
okay.
Now, do you see how it was 13 seconds before we even heard the first ring?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what it did on the other end. It may have rang, it may not have rang. Have you gotten any, now is this connected to your phone, Angelo? Have you gotten any callbacks? Has your phone rang at all?
No. And again, I'm new to this. I'm being very transparent on this thing. I have not, all I got is a lot of people wanted to come off the system. Those are messages that I've got, but not realizing that I had to sign on to get information on a specific property. Take me off your list, or I already have an agent take me off your list, even without me making a call.
And I'm horrible, but I don't take people off the list because they can unsubscribe themselves.
Yep. I would just say I'm not at my desk right now. Bottom of that
Yeah.
email, there's an unsubscribe option. Go ahead and
Yes.
click that. More, you know, actions speak louder than words. A lot of the time it's, you know, someone will say, I'm not interested. And then they're on there every single day looking at properties. And I think that comes from a lot of this being and the approach as, you know, more of a sales approach from other individuals doing lead gen. These individuals just automatically assume you're here to sell them something. You're soliciting them right away to buy something or, you know, gain something. You're gaining something from them essentially. So they're not interested right off the hop without even knowing a lot of time what you're calling about.
And what does this mean here, Crystal?
So that means an email has bounced back. Now I can see that there was 2 emails that went out. So a suppression can mean some, you know, different things. You can click remove suppression. It'll make the email look like it's valid, but for some reason it bounced. So this could, you know, for one example is Ismail here could have signed up 5 years ago on an AgentLocator website, and during that time period, he marked one of the emails he received as being spam. Because they're all coming from our primary account, it kind of just flags that email. You can remove the suppression on your own. So if you speak to Ismail, they confirm this is actually a good email. You can remove that suppression. If it's still bouncing, support can help with that as well. So they can help remove those suppressions so you can actually send those emails through.
The only time they would bounce if it's that email, right? I mean, otherwise it would not, shouldn't bounce back.
Well, if they've marked it as spam, we have to remove that suppression from our end, right? So it just comes into the council settings, really with the anti-spam. They've unsubscribed from something, and because our entire mail gun essentially is hooked into the back end of the CRM system, it counts as like one big, you know, blanket over all the accounts. So it doesn't matter when they unsubscribed and who they unsubscribe from. Essentially, at the end of the day, the email is coming from our mail server.
And the one thing that I definitely wanted to bring attention to is if you're not going to use the dialer, be sure that you're leaving a call note. So if I just dialed this number right now, I could go right here, make sure it was a call note, and then just put attempted. And that way you're going to be registering it as how many attempts does it take to get a hold of a lead? I like to know how many licks it takes to get to get to the center of the lollipop, right? Like I like to know how many phone calls each lead, because the last thing that I ever want to have happen in my database is, oh my gosh, I didn't do everything it took to try to get a hold of this lead. If, let's say, for example, a year from now, you're in here working your dashboard of your old leads, and you call Steffi and Steffi's like, I already purchased. You're like, I missed it. But if you have 55 phone calls and 25 text messages and 100 emails, you did everything you could. Okay, sorry, whatever. I missed that, missed that one. Couldn't have gotten anywhere. I did everything I could. So I like to document everything.
How many times should you be calling before you take them off, or did you never take them off?
In the first 14 days, you should have 6 to 8 phone attempts with your text and your email campaign up for a new lead campaign going. And that first 14 days is crucial because you don't know if they've just started the process or if they've been in the process and they've increased how much they're looking. Because people can be in the system just kind of, just looking. But dang, I want to buy a house today. Like I'm ready. Like I know within the next 2 months, I got to find a house, and then they increase their online activity. So we don't know where they are in those first 2 weeks. So I like to be really heavy. But what happens if I'm calling somebody 6 to 8 times within a 2 week time period through different times of the day and they haven't answered their phone, they're kind of going off of my quality list. Because if you haven't answered the phone in 2 weeks that many times, chances are you're probably not going to answer if I call you back another 6 to 8 times in the next 2 weeks. So as your leads are coming in, that 2 weeks moves into then, all right, well, I'm going to have 1 attempt a week if you're actively engaged looking at the emails and the properties being sent to you. Because I really am only going to try attempting my active leads. My inactive, that's like extra credit. If I have nothing better to do, I'll go back to, all right, these people haven't looked at an email in the last 30 days. I'll give those people a phone call. And then these people haven't looked at an email in the last 60 days. And as you have your agent locator longer and longer, those leads are just going to automatically fall into active and inactive. And you'll have leads. I mean, heck, we've had database for too many years, since 2009. So, I mean, that's 10, 11, 12, 14-year-old leads, and they're still looking at homes. So it's really cool that you can have a lead that registered 5 years ago and they're still actively looking. You're like, ooh, they're getting ready. Crystal, is there, I know we're over time. Is there anything in the chat that we need to go over real quick?
There was just a one comment about having a realtor already, which we have addressed a couple times, once at the beginning, and then I think once throughout as well, is going through that back door, kind of as discovering if they've been into any homes or if they've just been looking online. Now, of course, Shima, regulations and laws are different from province to province, or Canada, province to province, and in the United States from state to state. Now, I guess the question is, if somebody outright just tells you, well, I already have an agent. Mm-hmm. Would you kind of do that? Would you personally do that same route? Would you be like, okay, awesome. Have you guys gone to see any houses yet? Have you just been looking online? Would you ask that, kind of reiterate that same question? Because again, if I already have a realtor, if they're only looking online, the chances of them actually being committed to that realtor is pretty slim, unless they just started looking.
I just, again, look at my leads as I have to save them from a bad experience. That's my fiduciary duty, is to save them from a bad experience. And I know how many bad agents are in my market. So yes, you may have an agent, but I just want to make sure you do know that, like, everybody has a real estate license, right? And they're going to go, yeah. I just want to make sure that you are 100% certain that they have your best interest and they are protecting your future investment. Do you 100% trust the agent that you're working with? Because I've got to sleep at night. And that way you've attempted to save them their bad experiences on their own. And even if they say my best friend's an agent, I totally understand. I don't want to take business away from anybody. However, I would love to be a backup, because sometimes best friends and family just don't work as hard because they know they don't have the competition out there to earn your business. So if you ever feel like you're missing out on properties, or they're not working as hard as what you think they should be. I am open. I will give your friend a referral. I just want to make sure that your investment is protected moving forward. That's it. Because I've had so many clients that have been through 2 agents that were horrible. I love getting them second, third time around, because then they've already had a bad experience. But I look at every lead as it's my job and my duty to ensure that they understand, just because an agent has a real estate license doesn't mean they know how to negotiate and how to get you out of a bad situation. And that's why I like to identify with personal stories.
And this is more so now. It seems like you're right. Everybody has somebody who's in real estate. I mean, I got a call the other day that I served with their parents like 25 years ago. And he says, it's an honor to talk to you. You know, you were my parents' agent. I'm also an agent, and I've always looked up to you. And I thought, oh my God, you made me feel really old. But you know what? It's just a question that you know, there's a lot of agents. And listen, there's a lot of good agents out there. There is, and there's a lot of bad.
There's even more bad. There's even more bad.
And that's why, I mean, obviously, has been around as long as we've been around for 37 years. We've established a great brand out there. I'm very proud of it. And certainly, you know, the question that you're asking is that everybody's had a bad experience. We are the ones that made great experiences. So yeah, it's worth giving us a shot, but then everybody has to go through their own learning curve and go from there.
Yep. But if you can have that conversation, my job is to give people as much information as possible for them to make an educated decision. My job is not to sell them.
No.
My job is to feed the communication and to feed and educate for them to be able to make. The problem is the average layperson does not understand the industry or understand a good agent from a bad agent, or a seasoned agent from a non-seasoned agent, or an agent that just doesn't know how to write a contract and how to protect them in a contract.
Right now, with the property prices, obviously in Toronto, I mean, we've always dealt with people's biggest investment, and certainly more so now than ever before.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, a lot of these agents have put clients in mortgages that they should never have been in, only for their own self, remuneration, forgetting about the clients. And there was always that next button. Okay. And it's like, well, you know what? How high can you go? And that became the question. How high can you go? Not a question of what's right for you. How much can you afford? How high can you go? And a lot of these people right now are going to come back saying, what the hell did I do? That involved my parents, my grandparents, that borrowed money from everybody. And a lot of these people have no clue what they're doing right now.
100%.
Only because they had the.
And that's your value proposition. And that's what you have to bring to the table, having conversations with these leads. I don't let people just say, I'm just looking and go, okay, well, let me know when you find something, because they're never going to. Well, what are you looking for? What has to happen to make that move? What can I do to help you during the process? When do you want me to call you back? When is a good time? And then it's like, well, I don't know. Say, well, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, give them options. And then that way, when you set that reminder, you're not sitting there talking yourself out of why you said it and why you shouldn't be calling them.
Yeah, I think
because they told you that's the opportune time.
As I said to everybody, I mean, I'm not here to sell you anything. That's not my job. My job is to make sure that we find what you're looking for within the parameters that you want, and then go from there. Yes. Our job is to put it all together. But if I'm here to sell you anything, everything, then I'm not thinking of you. I'm thinking of myself. Yes. And it doesn't matter what I sell you. 100%. So let's bring that part into the equation as well. So the value proposition is like, yeah, we are different, guy, because I know we're different. And I educated I had many conversations with both Danny and Jennifer about this thing, and I'm sure Lisa too. The question that this is their biggest investment, and we should not be messing as far as just being salespeople. Yeah, there's a certain part of sales to try and put all together, but it's the connection that you have that they have to like you and trust you in order to go forward.
And look at these leads as an extension of your already warm market, because these are just people that you don't know yet. And all your job is to have as many conversations as possible and bring them into your network of people that are going to be your sphere, that are going to be your referrers.
Mhm.
And the more conversations you have, the more ability that you are building that pipeline of time. And, you know, I always say we're in the database gathering business. We just happen to sell a product that pays off really damn well when it does. So the more people that you can get into your database and your dashboard and work them properly, that's the name of the game, and just keep them organized.
Work,
So how
work
do I,
through honesty and integrity.
right?
That's going to get you the business and the referral.
Are we able to connect with you again, Beverly, or this is a one-time shot deal? We never see you again, or will we be seeing you again?
We can definitely put you in for down the road once you've kind of worked.
I would love
You've
to.
all kind of
Beverly,
worked, yeah.
I've loved
definitely
talking
get
to you. You seem to know, well, both of you are our kind of people. Certainly, there's value-added services always for our clients, and you certainly have brought a lot of stuff to our attention today that we didn't. But I thank you for honesty, and I'd love to stay in contact with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
because
BeverlyRuffner.com is my website. My email's Beverly@BeverlyRuffner.com. Certainly reach out.
Am I supposed to remember that, or you get texted to me?
Yeah, I can put it in the chat.
Yes, I would love to stay in contact. Obviously, Crystal, thanks for arranging this thing. It's been a very learning
welcome.
experience. Lisa, I think from the ISO position, it's going to be a question of, I think that there's benefits to you, benefits to everybody here, and we'll go from there.
Yeah,
Perfect.
perfect. Yeah, thank
It
you,
was
ladies.
a pleasure. Thank
Awesome.
you for your time and trusting me with your leads.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Angela. Thanks, Beverly. We'll see you all
Bye.
in a
Thank you
couple
so
weeks.
much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Okay,
you.
bye now.